she's somebody with a particular view on this. She lost her 18-year-old daughter, Ruby, to cancer just before this happened on the 15th of May. Emma, thank you so much for talking to us today. What are your feelings today? I mean, clearly anger in the House of Commons about this, about the fact that there appears to have been a party for up to 100 people 5 days after your daughter passed away.
Yes, well, I think there have been so many of these now. And it's incredibly insulting. And I think it just makes a very horrible situation just that bit worse. And I think what's particularly infuriating now is that the evidence is really mounting. And it really feels as though it's time for the Prime Minister to just put his hand up and accept and acknowledge that what they did was wrong. And it was very, very wrong. And it was very, very insulting to all those people, all those families like ourselves who made enormous sacrifices and whose end of life was made that much more painful because of the restrictions.
Tell us what the last few days were like with your daughter.
So Ruby, she didn't die of COVID, she died of blood cancer, and she'd been treated for about 10 months, most of which was as an inpatient in hospital. And until 3 weeks before she died, we thought she was going to get better. But she came home from hospital at the end of February and then was under regular checkups, and did a checkup on the 23rd of April. They found that the cancer had come back, and by that stage she was out of options. Before she got sick, she was a perfectly healthy, happy teenager halfway through her sixth form and with plans to go out and save the world. So on the 23rd of April, she found out that the cancer had come back. We knew she was going to die. We didn't know how long it would take. As it turned out, it was very quick. It was only 3 weeks later that she died. We were lucky in that she was at home, so she was able to be with me and her father and her sister. But we were the only people, other than hospice care staff, who came in to look after her, who she could see during that time. So she couldn't see her friends. She couldn't see her grandparents. They had to say goodbye to her on Zoom. And we did that because those are the rules. It was a really, really strict time of lockdown then. You could only meet one person outside. And we followed the rules because it was really important. And we didn't begrudge doing that because we knew it was what everybody had to do. There were no exceptions. And now it would appear that those rules were for everybody except for the government, except for number 10. And it's just so maddening that they weren't following their own rules. It makes me very, very cross.
You seem really calm about it. I'm not quite sure I'd be quite as calm as you are being. How hard was it for you? You've lost your daughter. I mean, this is the wrong order of things, isn't it? And presumably you weren't able to be around your parents to comfort you.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, the pain of losing a child is indescribable. I think it's the worst pain anyone can go through. And it was painful for so many people. It was extremely painful for my parents and for her friends. And the fact that we couldn't come together to comfort each other just made it a lot worse. It was excruciating.
How was the funeral?
So we actually chose not to have a funeral. So Ruby had been very organised in her last 3 weeks. She left us a list of things she wanted us to do. And she said, actually, when it came to a funeral, she wasn't bothered by what we did. She said, I'm not going to be there. I want you to do whatever works best for you. And we felt, because the rules at the time were a maximum of 10 people socially distanced, we didn't feel that would offer any comfort or solace to anyone. I didn't want to put Ruby's sister through that. I didn't want to put my parents through that. So we thought we'd wait until we could do something later on. And then we quickly realised we were going to be waiting a long time. So we ended up doing 3 very tiny events when the rules were relaxed to allow 6 people to come together. But it wasn't the big coming together, the big celebration of life that we'd hoped for. And I think that has made the grieving process a lot harder for everybody, not just for us.
And when you think back now to that time and how incredibly difficult it was for you, what would your message to the government be today?
Well, my message would be, I think you owe us an apology. It's very, very clear that you broke the rules. It would appear that you don't care that you broke the rules. And I feel very strongly that we deserve leaders who will lead by example. We deserve better than this. And it's funny that you said, I seem very calm about this. I am boiling with rage inside. And if Ruby were alive now, she would be absolutely spitting mad. She asked to be remembered by the motto, live kindly, live loudly. She believed that being kind is the most important thing, but she also believed very strongly in calling out injustice and standing up for what you believe in, which is where the loudly part of her motto comes from. And she would not be calm if she was alive right now. She would have made a protest banner and she'd be banging on the gates of number 10 and absolutely furious. So I'm doing this interview for her. This is me living loudly on her behalf because she would want me to talk up about this.
Do you think the government is operating to a different set of rules than the ones that you operated to?
Absolutely, absolutely. I think it was mentioned by somebody just now in the Houses of Parliament. It's one rule for them, one rule for everybody else. And that's just not acceptable. It's not good enough. It's frankly outrageous. And it's time for them to confess and to apologise.
How hard was it for you to stick to the rules? I mean, obviously you did, but there must have been moments when you just thought, I really want my parents around me now, or Ruby really deserves to have her friends around her now.
Yes, I mean, it was very hard. Thank heavens for technology. And actually, the fact that, so Ruby should have been taking her A-levels that summer. And the fact that for her friends, it was the first year where all the exams were cancelled. So had there been exams, her friends would have literally just been starting to sit their A-level exams as she died. As it was, they weren't sitting exams. So they were available to talk to her a lot on Zoom. There were a lot of online house parties that she took part in. So she was able to be connected with her friends, but it's just not the same as seeing people in person. And it was very hard. What we did after she died is we actually created a bit of a memorial garden in our front garden with banners and flowers, and we invited people to come past and leave little notes about what they remembered about Ruby, and that became a very beautiful thing. So people came through in their family groups, in pairs, under the rules, but there was a constant stream of people coming through our front garden, which was really the best that we could do, the best that we could offer people under the circumstances.
Well, Emma, thank you for talking to us today and telling us all about Ruby. And I'm really sorry for your loss.
Thank you very much.